Flow dreaming for me, the very basis, the start, the heart of it was I would like a practice that I can do every day that will help me communicate with the universe in such a way that I know that I'm deeply heard and that will lead me where I want to go. I tried meditation and I could not clear my mind to save my life. Oh my goodness. I said, look, I need something that works for me. Got to be something for me, my unique kind of being. And over the years, I've learned that people who are natural daydreamers, people who are creatives, people who are big book readers, people with ADHD, like we all tend to really gravitate toward this process. People who need to open up their emotional space more, that have had it hammered down and repressed. Flow dreaming comes for them too.
Welcome back to the Awakening Her podcast. Today I'm sitting down with Summer McStravick. Summer is a personal growth coach, author, podcaster, and creator of Flowdreaming, which is what we're talking about today. Flowdreaming is a technique for manifesting, healing, and growing emotional inner strength. I loved this conversation with Summer, and I know you are going to love it too. The way she breaks down manifestation and moving forward and personal growth, it's just so good. So I know there's going to be so much here that you're going to want to maybe even re-listen or write down, especially her flow dreaming process. So I can't wait for you to dive in. Without further ado, let's welcome Summer onto the show. Hello, Summer. Welcome to the show. How are you doing today? How's it going?
Hi, Talia. It's wonderful. It's a beautiful day here in San Diego, where I'm at.
I'm so excited with everything we're going to talk about today. Flow dreaming and manifestation and the journey of awakening and everything. It's going to be so good. But why don't we start by just introducing you? Let everybody know a little bit about yourself and, your business and who you are. Let's start there.
Oh my. Well, I've had a long and winding career, but presently, at least for the last decade, I have been the mama bear to a company called Flowdreaming, flowdreaming.com. And Flowdreaming is a practice. It is a technique, a philosophy. It's a method for manifesting, for healing. It's a whole bunch of different things. And I've been sharing it with the world through a podcast, through writing books, through masterminds and one-on-one sessions. But my whole goal has been to really help people discover a technique that they can personally do to start describing themselves differently to their future self, to the universe, to the world around them, and then to let the universe respond to what they're now being shown, the different energy, the different emotion of who this being, who this person is. In a nutshell, that's what I'm doing right now. And prior to that, I spent a good decade in corporate publishing, working for a publisher called Hay House with Louise Hay.
And what? We have no idea who that is around here.
I always say that was they gave me an MBA there. Learning from my job at Hay House was I built Hay House Radio and all the podcasts and the webinars and gosh, any audiobook that you may have owned from the 2000s, I probably was part of it. But in doing so, learning how to be a producer for people like, again, Wayne Dyer or Louise Hay or Marianne Williams, really skilled me up in what it's like to not just have a message, but to be able to really get it out in a way that works, that changes people. So I see it as a proving grounds for myself in hindsight. And I'm so blessed that I was given that opportunity, frankly, to kind of come out on my own as a result of it, to be pushed out onto my own, in fact, as a result of it. It's like training time's up, get out there, you've got a message, go for it, do it. So it was beautiful. It was the perfect lead up to what I do today.
It's almost like your experience was the training, even if you didn't realize it fully, for what was to come, which is kind of what, PS we're all doing. It's like we're always going through an initiation of something to come, but we often don't even realize it, right? So probably the skills you learn, the people skills, like you said, people sharing their message, their medicine in all these different ways, it probably taught you so much that now, has helped you become successful.
Yeah, 100%. And, one of the most interesting parts of it is when you're first starting to share a message that you have or a vision or a wisdom, it's so easy to compare yourself to everybody else and come up short. And one thing I learned there is that if you're forever doing that, you never reach the level of those people you're comparing yourself to. It's sort of
Mm.
like a chicken and egg situation. So until you stop that comparison, you won't reach that point. So that was, a challenge. And I think actually that plays into manifesting if you want to go there, because we're often trying to manifest things that we don't yet have. And and so to have something that you don't have is it's a similar feeling. Um, how do I embody both? How do I embody the knowledge that I don't have the thing I'm creating, yet I am the thing that I'm creating.
Mm.
So if you want to drop deep into some philosophy with me in the first 5 minutes, let's
Yeah.
go. But
That,
it's true.
yes.
It's true.
Yeah. Yeah, that is so beautiful that this is like, you're my person for sure. Because even my husband will be like, "So what do you think we should do on Sunday?" I'm like, "Well, the universal blueprint of the soul." Like it's always a deep answer. I even say around here, I'm gonna get all Talia on this for a second because it's super deep, because that is like the goods. That's what it feels so resonant. It feels so true. It shifts our cells. It's this real like deeper awareness of what's really going on. I'm really curious, before we get deeper into the manifestation stuff, how did you become at that like how did you get to work for Hay House? How were you led there? I'm always so interested on the way that we are led in our lives, and how not everything is what we think it'll be, but it was so important. And yeah, just curious how you kind of led up to that.
Yeah, it's actually kind of part of the whole big picture. When I was in my late 20s, I had graduated from college, and I said, I am never going to be like my family. They're a bunch of intuitives and mediums and psychics, and I'm going to go to school, and I'm going to do a grown up big girl thing by going into publishing and writing and graphic design, and I'm going to get as far away as I can from all that stuff. You know how it is when you're young, you want to do whatever the opposite is of whatever your parents and family do. So yes, lo and behold, I went to school, graduated, and started a literary magazine, a local paper about books and writing, and it's pretty amazing. I got to interview Buzz Aldrin, award-winning poets, Diana Gabaldon of the what's that series? Outsiders, Outlander. I mean, it was really awesome. Kind of started to get me into that world of I can talk to really important people and they'll talk back to me, huh? But what was also happening is I did not know how to run a small business at that point. And I was drowning in debt, paying for everything myself, not getting advertisers. And I called my mom and I said, I have to make this work. I need to manifest that shit out of this. Can we make this work? Because I'm drowning and failing in this business. So we began doing something that later I identified as developed really into the process of Flowdreaming. And it was, based on a lot of early concepts, right? We had Abraham Hicks and the vortex happening. Certainly Wayne Dyer was talking about power of intention at that time. Shakti Gawain was telling us about creative visualization, all the stuff. Louise telling us to do your affirmations and make it happen. Well, the place we went to felt different than all of that. It was what I later understood as flow, which I later understood as kind of just going right into the connected consciousness of everything. And from within that place, the question is, what are we doing here? How do we speak to it? How do we program it? How do I show it what I want? So that is actually what evolved into the whole flow dreaming technique. Those early moments where I realized that if I used guided daydreaming and let myself move into flow state through this daydreaming process, and then I began using my emotion, I was able to have a conversation in a much bigger way than I'd ever had before, to what felt like program and communicate with the universe as well as inside myself. So what happened, of course, is, I started asking, I need this magazine to go well. And why? What are the feelings I really wanted? I want to expose my ideas to the world. I want to guide people in intelligent conversations. I want to help them find and reach new awareness, through the medium of books. I want to be part of something where I can be constantly creative and growing. I don't want anybody putting the brakes on me and stopping me. Like I realized I had a whole series of desires behind this magazine. What often happens in manifesting is the thing that you're going for is not actually the right thing, but somehow life in the universe and all that is knows what you're actually going for. So I ended up having to close the magazine. Lost a good $30,000 on that back, 25 years ago, which was a huge chunk. I was feeling despondent and horrible, and I said, well, I guess I have to go to work. I'll be a freelancer and I'll design books and things. So I wrote a letter to a company called, Hay House. There were only two publishers in town at the time. One of them did books for kids under 4. So it was like very boring, basic stuff. And then there was Hay House, who were putting out some cool things. So I sent a letter and I said, hey, I want to lay out your books. Do you mind? What do you think? I didn't follow up. I never called. I never even looked to see if they had a job posting. It was just totally blind, and I forgot about it. A couple of weeks later, I get a call. Yes, we want you to lay out our books. Come on in. Got a job for you. And I said, what? Oh, okay. Still not having any clue what's going on. Still not realizing that my finger was just on the first big pivot point of my life. Actually, the second, but another big pivot point. And often pivot points are like that, they happen. You don't even know that they're the important thing happening, but looking back, you're like, oh, that was the road less traveled. That was the detour I didn't even pay attention to. Mm-hmm. Long story short, this led me to eventually becoming their art director and then their director of new media and being in charge of the whole division. And never forgetting this other hobby of mine was also percolating in tandem, Flowdreaming, which is kind of what got me there in the first place. Word gets out over time, and eventually my company president offers me a 2-book deal, multi-book deal, and says, write about Flowdreaming and have a podcast about it, and let's see what happens. And I said, okay, are you sure? Because I never had an intention to be a teacher. This is not my intention to share this with the world. I'm very happy doing what I'm doing, producing and, being in this, place of all these superstars around me. I mean, really? Again, life kind of moves you where you need to go. So it ended up that the book did really well and the podcast did really well and the technique took off. And in 2009, I left to do Flowdreaming full time. So that's sort of the origin of the whole process. One right thing leading to another, with a couple of big serious breaks in between. Of course, things will always break when they shift shape, almost without fail. The question is, as we create things, how do we want to handle whatever has broken? Can we find the meaning in it? So all this led up to today, and I'm as happy, I guess, as I've ever been, because I've gotten to see the fruits of my practice blossom over the last 25 years, and I've got to do some incredible things. Wow. So I forgot, did I answer the question? I think I may have answered it in there somewhere.
I don't even remember my question.
How did you get started?
Yeah.
Life led me because I asked it to.
That is incredible. That is so, first of all, I just love the universe and the sense of humor that runs through everything. I'm going to go get a serious job. Enough of this woo stuff. I'm going to go do something serious. Okay. Do something serious and grown up, with your big girl pants at Hay House. Okay, fine. That's so funny. But yeah, that's just so beautiful. And I'm so present to how our medicine, it's not just a catchy thing like the book that someone's going to write or the stuff. It comes from your experience. People like us, old souls, feelers, healers, visionaries, soulpreneurs, like it comes through you. So you didn't just think of a catchy thing to sell a bunch of books. It was your own medicine. It was your own transformation that
Yeah.
ended up being pushed out into the world. So now you can stand here, yes, with books and all this success, but you've been doing it for over 2 decades. And that's the part that it's like, your light is already within you, and your gift is already within you. It's nothing you have to find necessarily. Sometimes we think about, like, what did I do and how can I put that in a way that other people can practice it? Sure, of course, putting it into something tangible. But I just love, you're such a great example of you've been doing your work first and foremost. It changes your life. And then you go on to, even if it was reluctantly at first, put it together for all of us, to experience. And it's just so, so powerful. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
So what is flow dreaming? Let's get into that, whatever you're
Oh,
willing to share today.
yeah.
So how do
Yeah.
we all access the magic of the universe and the consciousness inside and get into that flow and
Well,
go?
I love speaking with a fellow manifestor about it because, we often use different language for the same thing. And I always say that about teachers. You have to find the teacher who connects and you hear, right? It's like if you go back to high school, there was one English teacher that you heard, all the rest were like, just write the essay. But
Mm,
somebody actually reached out and you're like, oh my God, I can do this. I love writing or whatever it may be.
yeah.
So, flow dreaming for me, like I said, is kind of a lot of different things, but the very basis, the start, the heart of it was I would like a practice that I can do every day that will help me communicate with the universe in such a way that I know that I'm deeply heard and that will lead me where I want to go. And I tried meditation and I could not clear my mind to save my life. Oh my goodness. I said, look, I need something that works for me. Got to be something for me, my unique kind of being. And over the years, I've learned that people who are natural daydreamers, people who are creatives, people who are big book readers, people with ADHD, like we all tend to really gravitate toward this process. People who need to open up their emotional space more, that have had it hammered down and repressed, flow dreaming comes for them too. So there's a whole swath of us that somehow have all fall into the same boat together. As a technique, it's super, super simple. There's three pillars to it. And think of it like yoga. You can do the actual exercises of yoga, but there's also a whole philosophy behind yoga, what it means, how to live the yogic way. Most people only go to the gym and do the actual exercises, and that's fine. Flow dreaming is similar. You can just do the actual exercise, that's fine. Or you can take the whole big picture and go, whoa, is that how everything flows together? Yes. The technique itself is built on guided daydreaming, awareness of flow state, and that deep and powerful emotion. So when I do the practice, I begin with letting my imagination loose. And it's like telling my brain, hey, go see some things for a while. I've got other work to do, but you keep track of all the images. Is that cool? And my brain goes, oh, yes, give me something to do. Thank you. I want to be part of this. I'm so happy. So I start with an image that is bringing me into perfect alignment. So going into the philosophy now, the core value of flow dreaming and flow is the sense that we are all moving forward in a path of least resistance, and we are on a path of expansion, of ease, of flow. And it's the same way that water flows from the high level to the low level to the sea. Things may be in front of it like a boulder, but it just fluidly moves around. Might be blocked or stalled for a little while in a pond, but then it breaks free and it always goes back to the ocean. There's really no resistance to where it's supposed to be going. Same can be said about the earth flying around the sun, right? It's not going backwards, it's not getting confused, it's moving without resistance. Our lives, we're born and we grow and accumulate experience, and we then transition into some other form. There is a direction inherent. We don't try for it. We don't force it. I don't wake up and go, I've got to make more time for today. Otherwise, I won't get my full 20 hours in. I better push for that. I only got 22 hours today. Oh my God, what happened? It's just there for us. So I look at this flow as something that we are bathed in, almost like the cosmic, nurturing nourishment of everything. And my goal is to get into alignment with that, to release into that, and to say, I'm going to move forward in my own life in the path of least resistance. in the path where everything I need opens for me, where all abundance is, where all my needs are met. That's what I want to feel first. No resistance. As I envision something, I'm describing the technique kind of in detail. I don't know why, but as I envision something like a winding river of light, a flowing, moving pathway under the stars, there's also a sense of being pulled or guided forward. Almost like, hey, this is my soul and it knows where it's going. So I'm just going to follow it. I'm going to let go into that. Because again, I don't have to make that happen. It's already happening. It's already a gift to me. The same way that I wake up every day and I'm gifted with oxygen and sunlight. Wow. Yeah, I didn't have to make that. It was just here. As I do this and get into this beautiful alignment, something happens. Just like when you daydream, you forget where you are, how much time has passed, what you're doing. I forget where I am. I'm somewhere else. Time passes and I'm not there anymore. Turns out this is a recognized state, psychological state, flow state. Dr. Dr. Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, guys, so hard to say his name. But he first described it with people who would go into that optimal brainwave, that optimal state of, perfect, perfect retention, perfect golf swing, all of that. I said, but I'm experiencing it in a spiritually connected way. I'm not doing a physical thing in this state. I've opened to something greater, a greater consciousness. And that is flow for me. I don't know where I am or how long I've been here, but I do know that I'm still aware. So that's why I say guided daydreaming, kind of like lucid dreaming at night. You're dreaming, but you're aware. I'm daydreaming, but I'm still knowing what I'm doing here. I haven't completely lost track of that. Then the beautiful, like, nailed part comes in. Well, if I'm in a big connected state, going into that net of consciousness that we're all in, what do I do there? What do I ask for? Why should I be talking to it at all? And manifesting for me then becomes me describing to myself the kinds of feelings that I want to encounter in my life, not the things. So going back to the old magazine, a magazine was a thing that I thought would get me to certain feeling states in my life and career and future, ways I wanted to experience myself and my potential. Turns out the magazine was the wrong thing, but life and the universe heard what I really wanted. So I always go to what I call the emotional endpoints now. And I say, I've got some things that I think will get me there. And yeah, I'm working on them. I'm doing the physical stuff around them. Here's what I really want to feel like, though. So I will look in different aspects of my life. Sometimes I'm solving a pain point, something that's broken and not working. And I'm saying, hey, here's how I'm really experiencing this. This is the feeling I have. This is whole. This is healed. This is moving. This is fluid. This is full of joy. This is fixed. And I went through it, did it. Sometimes I'm creating something bigger. I'm not fixing something broken, but I'm exploring something that I want to grow or move forward. I'll go into that. For instance, you have a lot of, entrepreneurs. I want to spread the word about my talents and my abilities and my skills. I want lots of clients. I want the world to receive my gifts and nothing to get in the way. I will feel what that's like. And I try to be very hands off when it comes to who the clients are, where I encounter them, what they have to pay me, blah, 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 anything like that. I want to be with people who need these gifts more than anybody else and who see the value, and the value is reciprocal. So I make enough money that I can continue doing this. And I want to experience the joy of seeing all these beautiful outcomes and knowing all of these people's lives have been touched or maybe just subtly changed by what I've been able to give them or do for them. So what I'm describing to you are the emotions that I'm communicating to the universe. And this is what I use to guide all of my manifesting going forward in every single way. One of my big tenets is that I like to create what I call emotional energetic blueprints. You probably have your own word for this. When I am describing myself with these emotions, I am actually adding on to myself, right? As we are going forward, these little collectors of experiences in life, everything we do and encounter is part of us now. Everything. You are part of me and my eternal being forever at this point. Can't take it away. Once information is known, it's not unknown. So if I am purposefully describing emotions and feeling them inside me, those are becoming part of me too.
Mm.
And the more often I do that, the more of me become those feelings. So we often go around every day with a lot of lack thoughts, a lot of this is hard, this is difficult, how long is this going to take? Why isn't this happening? Oh my gosh, I better grab it while I can because it's going to go away. We're always reaching with lack, meaning we're always adding that into our being, our big, eternal, gorgeous being. My goal is to tilt the scale so that the feelings that I'm intentionally putting into me override the, the lizard brain, yeah, biological, scared, small me,
Mm.
and fill me up instead with who I really am becoming. If I do that, the world I know is constantly reflecting who I am. So as I build more of those feelings in me and become literally more of, I am so fruitful and abundant today. I am so grateful for the work I do today. I am so absolutely in love with the kinds of friendships and the people who support me. They're everywhere in my life. I'm using words, but I'm trying to use words to describe feelings. This is now me. It's becoming more and more of me every day. Every 10 minutes I spend doing this. The world around me now is reading me, and it's responding. And it's saying, well, did you hear that she just said she's got amazing friends and she's so grateful and happy to have them and they're everywhere and supportive? We need to align to that. Let's align to that. We have to align. We don't have a choice but to align to that. So it's my sneaky little way of getting the universe to actually do what I want. I'm not controlling it by saying, give me this thing and make this situation happen. Because the universe is like, it's not the right one for you.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think you are? You don't have all the information. You're giving us these little dribbles and drabbles and stupid, silly things to try to do for you. But you tell us that you're full of friendships and gorgeous support and the right people. Well, you've just unshackled our hands. Yeah, we've got right people for you all over the world. We've got someone looking for you right now who wants to be close to you in your life and travel the next 20 years as best friends. That's what you're saying you want. So that's how I look at manifesting from a bigger picture. And I think you and I are probably very well aligned in that.
Mm-hmm.
I make myself what I want the world to be for me. And I call it pre-spawning or pre-acting. I've got a whole bunch of language built around this. When I'm pre-spawning or pre-acting, I am literally building that energetic template for the world. This is what I am. This is what I expect. This is what's happening. This is who we are and where we're going. Do you see it? You can't avoid it. I just felt it. If I felt it, no way you can't see that. Like the universe totally, there's no miscommunication there.
Mm-hmm.
And then away we go. Anyway, I'll stop for a second because I could just go on, and on with that.
We all want you to keep going on and on. I know I can feel the clicks and the minds being blown, and you're really beautifully wrapping up all the manifestation practices that we hear about. You have to assume the end result, feel the feelings, right? And that is, I always call it the human conundrum, because it's like, how do I feel abundant when I'm not abundant? And then people, as you say, go into meditation, which I love meditation, but then they focus all their focus on trying to not have thoughts or trying to be a millionaire or trying to just chant things for the sake of going like, I'm a millionaire, I'm a millionaire. And that's not how it works. It's the right sentiment, but it's not the right application, I would say. It's like, yes, we do need to expand into that feeling that we want to create. We have to find it. But your way of doing that feels so grounded. And it's, I like to say that we need to let the work meet us where we're at. The work shifts and tailors depending on where we're at. If we're having like the worst day, that's a different type of work than when we're having the best day. And so it sounds like with flow dreaming, it can meet you where you're at. And it's not about faking anything. That's what I get a lot of my clients. They're drawn to me when they're a little bit type A, a little bit control-y, which I think because I'm so like flowy, we have a good thing going, but it's like, it feels fake. That's the thing I hear. It feels fake to say everything's working out for me when everything's not working out for me. And we work with that. And it's like, yeah, that's legit. It is fake at that point, but we need to bridge the gap. you have a beautiful way of, bridging that gap where we're imagining, we're daydreaming, and that whole declaration, the way that you say it is a beautiful way of summing up, like, we are the deliberate creator. We get to control our reality. However, when we go into it super controlly, thinking we need to control everything, it doesn't end up bringing us the fulfillment that we desire. And again, it's like another dichotomy. It's another oxymoron that it's like, you're the deliberate creator. You go out and create what you want, but don't be too controlly. And I totally understand that when we say, I want to make this much money through this many clients and they have brown hair and it's this woman and she's 35 and then we pinch off what is possible for us. But as you say, I just call them core desired emotions. But when we
Mhm.
tune into what we actually want, okay, freedom, excitement, to navigate things with grace, to look after ourselves and self-care, and for people to align and to have community. And when we tune into that, the universe, as you said beautifully, goes like, oh, shit, look at her. She's the type of person who's, you start to get to know yourself as that person. It sounds like also in your technique is like you start to, as you said, it's now forever in you. Once you've clicked with that emotion, you've seen it, you felt it, something, now it's a part
Mhm.
of you. So it's just, I see the gold, why this format and why your technique would really work, because it does kind of accumulate or brings in all the manifestation techniques in a grounded way that I think would help a lot of people who can't clear all their thoughts, can't,
No, no thought
embody
clearing
the
required.
millionaire.
No
Yeah.
embodiment. Well, yes, there is embodiment.
There
Yes.
is, but it meets you where you're at. It's not
Yeah.
saying, "Oh, you're $20,000 in debt. Okay, go be a millionaire." If you were a millionaire, what would you
Yeah.
do? And you go like, "Fuck, I'd book vacations and what am I supposed to go book vacations and put myself more in debt?"
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
and it just sounds, it's so beautiful. So I would love to hear, what is your take on that when we have that
Mhm.
energetic gap? I
Yeah.
right now I'm in so much debt, but I know I'm meant for overflowing abundance. Or right now I'm alone, but I know I'm meant to have a soulmate or something. How do we start to
Yeah.
bridge that gap?
Yeah. It's a question I get a lot, obviously. There should be nothing that feels fake in
Mhm.
what we practice. You should be able to look at everything in your life as a little bit of evidence that's quite real. Meaning, if you're looking over at an area that is a gap and you don't say have that partner, I know I'm supposed to have a partner, I can feel it, but I don't have it. You need to look literally at that because that's the clay that you're working with. You can't pretend that that's not happening. However, you're also very right. You do not have a partner. You can't tell yourself that that's a lie. It's very true. Most of us are doing what I call responding, right? Or reacting to what has already occurred. So if you're looking and responding and reacting is opposite of pre-spawning and pre-acting. That means that you're waiting, things that have already happened are what you're thinking is all that is. And
Mm.
those are the things that are bringing up your emotions. You don't have a partner, you feel sad and you feel lonely. That makes total sense. So, what I'm asking you to do is to recognize that you're totally right. Your feelings are right. You're not wrong. You're looking at it correctly. But if you stay in that, then you will continue to revalidate it and revalidate it and revalidate it because you say, I'm still looking at the objective truth. And I'm like, yes. But if you don't give any other truth for life to pattern off of, then you won't get anything else besides that. So I need you to do it's like a koan, like a Buddhist koan, right? If a tree falls in the forest and no one's around, it doesn't make a noise, that kind of thing. You have to simultaneously hold two contrasting feelings and work toward that. Yes, I don't have somebody, and therefore I'm receiving emotions in my life. Those emotions are telling me, in fact, like right now, our lives around us, right this second, are perfect and gorgeous mirrors of our inner beings. Things that are working, working inside of us. Things that are not working outside of us, not working inside of us. So, in my world, people try and fix the outside stuff constantly, and it never stays, it never sticks. They get it for a while, they lose it again. I'm like, that's because it can't align to you. You're the one leading here. So you're pulling something along for a little while, but it can't stay. You fix inside you, everything around you then rises to your level, meets you and aligns.
Mm.
So if you have a gap and something is not working, if you're somebody without a partner, here's what you're feeling. I recognize the emotion that my life is giving to me and telling me that I'm hungry for a partnership and for the beautiful growth that I'll encounter. In fact, this is exactly what I would feel this partnership is like for me. And it's like for me now. It pushes me forward. It supports me. My partner almost anticipates my needs before I know them. They give me the perfect place to grow into my next level of being. The communication that I want to encounter, the love that to be cared for, to trust that somebody. Here's what I'm experiencing with them. Here are the feelings. So as I do that, I'm not denying that I don't have a partner, but I'm describing perfectly to the universe that this is something that is also me. This and okay, this is also me. Another magic phrase I use is this or better, right? This or better. Maybe I really want a deep partner to do all these things, but maybe there's an even better path for me, one that I have no conception of yet. So what I would end up saying is, why do you want a partner? Because I want to feel like I have somebody to be with for the rest of my life. I want to feel that I'm lovable. I want to feel like I'm not lonely. I want to feel like I'm assured that I won't ever be by myself and rejected. Right? Maybe these are the reasons behind wanting that partner. So life now can open up and respond and say, we can give you a lot of those things, a lot of those feelings in so many different ways. And maybe a partner is part of it, but maybe there's also something else, something that's standing right around the corner. It's easy. It's in your flow. Would you like that too? Because you said you wanted those feelings above everything else. Eventually, what happens is you start to feel totally happy, totally adored, surrounded by support, and again, friends and community and all of that. And then you realize, I still want a partner, but I'm not neediness. I have no neediness from that partner because those feelings have already gotten filled in me. So if I get that partner now, it's icing on the cake. Plus, I'm giving to that partner a more fulfilled person. I'm giving to that partner the better person that I've become because of this. They're not filling my empty space. I'm overflowing into their world. It's different. So that's how I describe it. And you have to practice for a while. But you
Yeah.
get there.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that so much because when you kind of assure your brain, we're not trying to fake anything, it immediately removes so much resistance. And I agree that in all the manifestation, we have to dabble in the healing work of it is so understandable that you would feel this way. With my hand on my heart, the amount of times I say that to myself, I get a trigger of lack. I get a trigger of feeling alone. The first thing I do is rush to my own side and say, it is so understandable that you would feel that way. And depending on what it is, take a deep breath, maybe a reframe, just gentle love, though, is often what I need. So I love how you kind of let yourself go, yeah, right now you are feeling this. And then you say, we go over, I call that future casting, like we move over into the part of what we do want to experience. But it's not saying that what we are experiencing now is fake or invalid. It's actually, we wrap it in love, we wrap it in bubble wrap, you're valid, and we move on. When you're talking, you remind me a lot of Esther Hicks, and I can tell that you go into channeling states, but what you were saying in a moment ago, I heard her say this so many times where people go, but it's true, but Abraham, it's true, I am in debt, or it's true, I am alone. And it's like, yes, that end of the stick is true, but there's a total other end of the stick. And what end of the stick are you lighting, And when you use that example, or you were saying how everything externally that you don't like or do like is a reflection of what's going on, and people are always trying to be out there sort of fixing the 3D. That reminds me of an analogy I heard somewhere along the line, maybe Spirit showed me, I'm not sure, but how everything they say is a mirror, right? And we go around trying to fix the reflection. So imagine standing in the mirror going, I don't like what you're wearing or the way you look or something. And then trying to fix the mirror, waiting for the actual reflection to change. It's you that has to change, and then your reflection will look different. And it's just so funny. We're trying to wait for the reflection to change, or trying to, go up to the mirror and smear on the face to try to get something off. It's like, that's not, the mirror is just a mirror. And that's the same thing. Your reality is just a mirror of what's going on inside. I love that you talk about that. And the more we create those internal states of support or optimism or excitement or relief, or sort of point the universe in a direction, our external life has no other option but to respond. And this is where I'll say to people, guys, it's not personal, it's law. It's many universal laws working together. It just will. It will work, because that is how this all works. Gravity doesn't care if you're a good person or not, or if you believe in it, it will do its thing. And that's the same with our reflection when we shift inside. So I know that was a lot to go off on, but I just love everything that you're saying. It's so, so powerful.
Yeah, right. People tend to think if one thing is real, then the other thing can't be. But
Right.
again, let's go back to that basic binary dichotomy, right? Resistance and flow, up and down, yin and yang, masculine, feminine. I wouldn't say because you have masculine, there is no feminine. It's
Yeah.
both. We're both, right? Yes, you have some lack of the thing, but you also are showing the thing of having the thing. Just the having of the thing might be in a non-physical state right now, and the thing you actually have is in the physical state right now. But you can simultaneously hold both. Why would you think you could not?
It's
And
like if
and
you're a
that's the
feminine, oh, sorry.
yeah. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, if you're a feminine being, you still have masculine energy
Mhm.
within you, exactly like you're
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah. Yeah. So once we wrap our minds around that, I think I think a lot of the confusion comes because speaking of, polarity and dichotomy, we are physical and non-physical creatures, right? I call the physical part of ourselves the densest part of ourselves. Everybody's heard that before. Um, if we were very, very tiny, if we were at the atomic level, my body wouldn't seem physical at all. It would seem like a universe of floating, flying, molecular things. And I'd say, this is not a physical thing. This is a non-physical thing. This is just information. I would be right. I'd be right. So we're, as people, trying to create physical things, but we often forget the whole non-physical side of ourselves, even though it's there in us and through us.
Mm.
So we tend to focus on the doing the things that life is telling us to do. Maybe having the partnership or getting married or having a good career or socking away money into your 401k or your IRA or, getting that cruise booked. We do a lot of physical things to try to advance and move our lives forward. And when you're only doing the physical action and you're not doing the non-physical action, I would say it's like trying to run by hopping on one leg.
Mm.
You need to go in and do the non-physical action too. The non-physical action is by definition probably going to be different than the physical action that you're doing, right? Because this is your guidance. This is where you're going. And the physical action is often you just dealing with where you've been. So I'm constantly moving into that non-physical self space through flow dreaming, going to the space and saying, this is where we're heading.
Mhm.
These are the feelings we are. This is the template that I am creating. Build the physical house in my life based on the non-physical blueprint that I am showing you right here.
Mm.
And yes, the more we do it, the more we actually become that thing, which I think is just amazing that, we've been gifted a lifetime and we don't have to do anything to gain more experience, to grow as beings. Like literally, we could all just not do anything. Every moment of time that ticks by, we are still growing, we are still taking in information, we are still expanding. So again, that's sort of like the cushion that we've been gifted, like the greatest gift. So
Mhm.
my next step is to say, gosh, God, if I am going to be continuously changing and growing, taking in experiences without even trying, the least I can do is start to give some direction to those experiences and stop
Mm.
shaking my little fist at the world and saying, why aren't you giving me what I need? Maybe I need to come back and say, hold on. I'm going to give direction to the experiences. These are the things I intend to experience. And I'm going to use what I call the language of the universe, which for me is emotion,
Mm.
because we can try and talk what we need, but words are insufficient. We can visualize what we need, but often it becomes too concrete, and it's not how it looks. When we emote what we need, gosh, I could meet somebody around the world who speaks another language, and I could feel what they're feeling.
Mm.
Um, I could look in my dog's eyes and I know how he feels. I could look at a sick tree and have a emotional response. It is the highest language we have as humans for
Mhm.
connecting.
Mhm.
So that's for me why. And you spoke about I call them emotional endpoints. You said the core emotional feelings or something like that, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
For me, if I go into that space and I use my emotion, I am richly offering myself to that non-physical template, describing myself over and over. And the more often I do it, the more bits of my experience become coded to that. And
Mhm.
over time, over the years, it's like learning a language. At first, I can barely speak it. I only know, uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis. Eventually, the language is in me because it's become part of me. It's taken up a big chunk of my brain and being. It's encoded there, and I can use
Mhm.
it. So when I'm manifesting, I look at it the same way. I'm learning a language. Every day I practice it, the more encoded it is, the more I become that language. And eventually, people who know foreign languages, they start to think in that language. And when they
Mm.
think in that language, concepts that before they had no idea of are now available to them, right? Like there are some beautiful Japanese words that, of course, I'm forgetting right now, but one of them is about being a moment catcher,
Mm.
being able to look at each moment as if you want to catch the next one and find the beauty in it. Now, I had to use a whole bunch of words to describe it. They only use one word for that, one
Mm.
word.
Mhm.
So they've become that. They know that, to name it is to know it, to become it. So again, the way that I work in flow dreaming is to speak that language and to learn it better and better and better. And certainly, I don't know about you, but when I'm communicating non-physically, um, I might use words, because they're convenient, but I'm often asking, using a kind of emotional language,
Mhm.
and I receive a response that may be words, or it may be textures, maybe colors, maybe feelings, maybe a mishmash of all the different senses coming together. But I don't know. Now I'm drifting off into the world of the philosophy of language, universal languages.
Mhm. Well, it is. It's definitely emotion, energy in
Mhm.
motion. It's how we connect with each other. It's why you could listen to a song that's not even English or whatever your language is, and you could be crying because it's so beautiful and you don't even know what they're saying, but you can tell it's a love song or whatever, because emotion is, yeah, it's everything. And I really like how you were talking to a few moments ago about how when you add in what we'll call quote unquote good feelings, emotions, images, states of being, there was something there about how um, when we add in more of what we want, we don't have to worry so much about trying to not feel lack, trying to not ever be triggered, because we're always adding in good. So I used to do nutrition consulting in my first business, helping people break free of dieting. And I would say there's no more, no more, no more. Basically, we're not
Mhm.
cutting out carbs. We're not cutting out all processed food. We're adding in good things. We're adding in a little bit more water, a little bit more exercise, maybe remembering your supplement, a little bit more earth food. And slowly, but actually quickly, compared to trying to just do it all at once, we edge out the quote unquote bad stuff. It becomes like we don't even want it anymore. And then we really truly can have just a couple bites and we're like, ooh, we're good, because we added in good stuff. Or we can eat the whole damn thing and not feel guilty about it too, because that's the blessing of it. But with energy, we add in more good. That's why a gratitude practice can be so powerful, or
Yes.
flow dreaming or visualization, where we're adding in more of what we want, adding in more of what we want. And I'm a huge advocate to say, when we're triggered, it's okay. It actually is showing us something powerful, and we can move through a very funky time. And I'll teach my clients to be like, even though I'm feeling lack, scarcity, irritation, I am still manifesting. I am still a powerful, deliberate creator. We don't have to worry about not ever thinking a bad thing, because you're
Yeah.
almost asking yourself to not have an ego or not be human. And for
Yeah.
now, we are human this time around for a little bit of time. We are human. So I love that, you're talking about that too, like these pockets of adding in more of what you want, adding in more of what you want. You will naturally start to think that way. And as a big bill comes in the mail and it rocks you sideways, you're much easier like a palm tree, like where you are. The palm tree gets knocked down and then it just comes back up. And we can go, okay, that bill surprised me. A lot came up. Maybe we need to process something, but it's okay because you're also injecting lots of those abundant feelings or the freedom feelings or whatever else. So I just love that. And really seeing that when we add in more veggies, we naturally want less McDonald's or processed food or whatever else. And that sentiments with energy as well.
Yes. When Let me collect my thoughts for a second here because there's so many directions that we can go in. When we are adding more of those good in, I would say that the lack thinking, like you're saying, the McDonald's, tends to recede. However, the lack thinking will keep poking its head up because as we keep going forward in our lives and our futures, we will continuously encounter the whole world, people we've chosen to be in our life, the workplace that we've chosen to associate with. People are going to bring lack in. If we lived by ourselves on a planet with just us, I don't think we'd have to experience very much lack. If we were in a perfect state of being, there would be no lack. So lack is kind of a built-in grit in the oyster. It is, and I don't mean it like, oh, I got to learn lessons and go through pain. But every time, one of my goals is to be able to see lack thinking sooner and sooner in my life. Instead of like, if you want to do an exercise right now, think of something that has not been working for you, that has been frustrating for you. Something will probably just pop right up. Now, notice how long it's been that way. How long? And an answer: a day, a week, 5 years, my whole life. What's happening there is a place of lack in you. And it has been showing itself to you over and over and over. And maybe you noticed it a while back, but since then you've just been continuously re-noticing it over and over. You've been identifying the problem without moving to the solution. And identifying the problem over and over and over, it wasn't intentional. It's just, it's still here. It's still happening. I still can't. This is showing you the urgency and the need to move to the next step. I see it. I never need to identify it again. It's there until I choose to move through it, past it, beyond it. If I see it, I believe I have the means and the wherewithal to move through it, past it, beyond it. My job right now is just to figure out, how is that done? So you're taking an emotion that used to just hammer you and you're honoring it, kind of like you put your hands to your heart, right? You're honoring it and you're saying, and now I solve you. And I'm going to try all different ways to solve you. I don't know which is going to work, but let's go. Let's do it. And now the energy I'm pulling up whenever I feel the lack is, no, I'm feeling we're solved. We're good. I figured it out. I did what I needed to do. I felt what I needed to feel. I told who I needed to tell. Let's move forward. Let's move on. So I try to take the lack thoughts that come up and see them quicker. I can still stew on something for 2 hours and go, oh my God, I've been in this. I've been co-creating this for 2 hours. Oh my gosh. But I don't worry then about trying to get rid of that. I just go to the other side, like you said. Now I'm going to go into the feelings now of what I actually want around this. And yeah.
I was just going to say, sometimes all we need too is like a walk. Like sometimes from feeling massive trigger, we can't just be like, okay, now I'm going to visualize, because we're vibrationally too far away. But sometimes we can say a nap, which Abraham always, says sometimes the best enlightenment tool is to have a nap, or like a cold plunge, or a walk outside, or a nourishing meal, or maybe a meditation. It's like we have to sometimes incrementally come back.
Yeah. Shifting your circumstances. So, when we talk about getting into flow, getting into that state of pure ease, I think about days where something will go wrong in the morning, and then I'll drive to the store and someone almost rear ends me. And then I get my groceries and go to the car and drive away, and they forgot to put a bag back in my basket. And I just go, I feel like I stumbled down into the weedy patches on the side of the road. That's the point I go, energy shift.
Mhm.
Stop, cut off and I will. If I have clients, I'll be like, can't talk to you now. It's going to be terrible. Don't, sorry. And
You don't want me today.
but
I'm sorry.
you don't want me today. But I do something that I feel is unpredictable and not in the alignment that I was previously in. So again, a nap when I wasn't supposed to take one, a walk when I, shouldn't have been doing that. I had an appointment instead. Um, Sitting down and doing my flow dreaming or whatever it may be. I feel like the energy just has to get broken.
Yeah.
And you release that so that I can refine that flow and that alignment again. Like a bigger part of flow for me, like when I talk about flow, excuse me, it has multiple layers of meaning to it. One is that universal alignment that I described, right? The inherent forward motion, the arrow of time, right? Just vroom, where there's no resistance. Another idea around that is every single person we know has that same flow. And we're all colliding together in our future, second by second, minute by minute. And our futures aren't chaos. I mean, it's kind of bizarre how well things tend to hang together and they tend to be very consistent. I mean, I could probably know with 80% certainty how the rest of my day is going to go. There might be a few surprises here and there, and the timelines might be off a little bit, but I'm going to make dinner. I'm going to say hi to my husband, maybe see my daughter, pet my dog and go to bed, like predictable things in a house that I'm familiar with, etc. When we're programming things and asking for things, we're basically sending out a broadcast, or we are the broadcasters who are sending involved. We are the broadcast. Hey, you and your flow of energy, do we align on this? Are you also asking for these emotional endpoints? How about you over there? Oh, and you coming up in 4 years? Like right now, my flows are already intersecting with people and events that won't happen for 4 or 5 or 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. Sometimes things need to shift and curve. And sometimes I vision it like this beautiful ribbons of light going through space and just, braiding and weaving together. I'm like, who's going to be next with me? Who fits next with me? What is
Mm-hmm.
it like for us there? So I look at flow from that dimension as well. My little voice piping up saying, here's where we want to go. And then all the opportunities in life and world and the universe say, okay, all right, we'll get that put together for you. It might happen tomorrow. It might happen in 3 years. That's not my job though.
Mm-hmm.
And so I try not to have frustration around that. My goal is to have so many irons in the fire that I am always getting some of my needs met somewhere at some point to the highest possible degree. So the ones that I'm still working on or longing for, or even just desiring, they're there and they're coming, but I don't get overwhelmed by the desire for them. And that's kind of a weird thing. And I go kind of Buddhist on that, right? They say you should detach, have no desire. Yet people who manifest or people who come here to build things in life, we're expected to desire. That's how we propel our lives forward. But the sweet spot, like to go back to our conversation earlier, is right in the middle.
Mm-hmm. It's a dichotomy too.
I am full of desire and I have no desire.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm both and.
It's like I'm full of desire and happy anticipation of feeling excitement and connection and joy, but I'm not attached to it. It has to all come from my book, or it has to all come from, this one way. I think that's if we can put words to something that's so energetic, like flow, as you've spent your entire career putting words to, it is that sweet spot of row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. It's like we know we want to gently go down the stream and we have these ideas and aspirations for ourselves. But when you're so rigid, that's why with manifesting, I tend to go a little bit rogue, where I'm like, okay, but when I see everyone saying like, by December 1st, I'm going to have, and it's something that is like 3 or 4 versions away. It doesn't mean you can't. The quantum is a magical place. Anything is possible. It doesn't mean you can't. I'm not saying you can't manifest a car in a month, but when we get all pinchy, we're missing the memo. And I think that that's the part where, I'll say that with people's partners as an intuitive, I'll see my clients and go, yeah, but they're doing something right now. I can see that they're moving through their own stuff, or maybe a marriage is ending, or they're going through a lot of growth. There is that divine timing aspect that it doesn't mean we sit around and don't make anything happen and be like, whatever, divine timing, because we do want to have, all of us, we have these dreams and goals, but it's not being so overly attached to exactly what it's going to look like, exactly the day it's going to come in. And then people put these rigid expectations and then get pissed at the universe, which sounds like
Yeah.
conditional love to me, conditional happiness, conditional joy. I'm stoked on you, universe, if you bring me my tall heart, like handsome man by June 30th. And if not, F you, you were never there for me anyway. Like that, that's
Mhm.
not how this works, guys, So, set your goals. And I love scripting and things where we're putting things into the future, but try not to get so rigidly attached to that day and that exact thing. And like you, I always say this or something better, or in the highest good of all. I'm
Yeah.
ready to make my $20,000 months and serve my message to the world or whatever in the highest good of all. And then we kind of just trust. Maybe the universe is bringing me $30,000 months, but it's going to take a few extra months or years. Is that okay? Are you okay to surrender to that? So I don't
Yeah.
know if that, lands with you, but that's how I feel about it. It's this balance of focus and surrender.
I always say, don't take your partner's job. Don't
Oh,
try to do your partner's job. Do you know how quickly that's going to ruin a relationship?
right.
Right. So, if I wanted to have a date night and I said, hubby, invite me out. I want to go out and be with you and have a date. And he'd say, great, I'll put something. I'll go, oh, no, 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 no. Here's where we're going. Here's what you're wearing. Here's the car you're going to drive to pick me up. Here's the time it's going to be. I'm going to order for you too, by the way. And I'll tell you when it's done.
These are the compliments you're going to give me.
These are the compliments you're going to give me. I think of it as disempowering the universe.
Mm,
So my universe, my partner, their job is divine timing. That is their job. Their
mm,
job is to take the infinite number of possibilities. I mean, we are swimming in the richest sea of possibilities right now. I mean, every second that passes by, I don't even know what the biggest number is. But if I knew it, I would say it. That's how many possibilities could potentially happen right now. We've
mhm.
narrowed them to the world that we particularly live in. But sure, right now, somebody could call me up and say, I'm going to take you to, Botswana with me. Or I'm something wild and different. Could certainly happen. Could happen. There's no
Mhm,
rule against it not happening. So
mhm.
I'm giving my partner carte blanche. I'm saying you figure out all of these infinite possibilities, and divine timing is how you put the mix together. All I did is say what I wanted. And
Mhm.
and and I tried to stay true to that. So I wasn't giving you continuously mixed messages. Oh, I want it, but now I don't want it. I want it, but now I don't deserve it. I want it, but oh, it's not here yet. What's wrong with you? Right? It's me giving those mixed messages that gums up the machine,
Mm,
that slows it all down, especially the I'm not deserving one. My partner's
mhm.
like, well, I was gonna take you to the best restaurant in town because I have the money, but you said you weren't deserving. Well,
Mm.
I love you and I want to keep you happy. So I guess I'll agree with you. And we won't go to that one. We'll go to one that you're more comfortable with, that little cheapy place down the street. And
Mm.
that's often, how we are treating our partner in crime, in life, the universe.
Yeah, I love that. Oh my goodness. There's so many angles. Even how they say that, and I don't know, I'd be curious to know, this is a whole side conversation, but they say that
Yeah.
God is a masculine energy. And when you were just talking about your partner, so even in that way, I find that masculine energy thrives with trust and direction. So, sweetie, what I want you to do is like, however you want to, do this, what we need is this. And then I just trust that my husband's going to do it because we have this vision. And so, yeah, when I start micromanaging, he's like, well, did you, I thought I would do it. And so sometimes he'll be cooking or something. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, are you really going to put that much butter in it or something? And I'm like, you know what? Trust the process. And then he ends up cooking like such a delicious meal that I'm like, I didn't need to micromanage. And so
Mhm.
sometimes even with, like you say, with co-creation, it's like we want to just as you're doing with flow dreaming, putting that energy out. This is what we're doing. This is what we're becoming, and trusting in the rest is a beautiful place where then we can sink into our feminine. This is going to be like a whole conversation about masculine and feminine. We can sink into the creativity, the intuition, the flow, the trust. And that's when I think the two come together so beautifully. The masculine and the feminine is like trusting in that divine timing, and that, that the universe will provide, that life will mirror back that, and we can then be more in flow, more in receptive mode. I was going to ask you in this conversation about your take on saying yes to things that come, because you were just saying, if someone came and was like, I'm taking you to Botswana, like sometimes we say, I want to make $20,000 a month or this, that. And then something comes up that seems so random. And there are people that have the philosophy of like, say yes, or Michael Singer with the surrender experiment, right? Like just say yes, just surrender to what is. I'm curious to know your take on that because it can be delivered in the most miraculous ways that we didn't expect, sometimes things are going to come up that we go like, huh? Really? I'm being called to pivot and burn this business down to the ground? Or really? I'm going to Botswana? Like what? WTF? Just curious your take on that as we go through our manifestation journey.
I have no idea why I said Botswana. Is that still a country, or is that a country from like 1970? I wish I knew my geography better. I was just trying to think of the most random place that I could. Sometimes, yes, to get to the next thing we want, something will be displaced, something will be burned to the ground, something will be tiptoed out of slowly and carefully and quietly and without harm. I believe that when we make big pivots like that, they come about because what we want is just on the other side. That's always the case. And we get to face that thing, and many of us delay that thing for as long as possible. No way, no way, no way. We resist it, hold back, and we yearn and yearn until we reach a snapping point. The energy just breaks. And that's when you get fired, or when your, spouse leaves you, or when the health problem pops up. I try not to let things get to that point anymore. I try to listen when I feel the winds shifting. When I feel the currents. And I notice that because something I'm doing is now not working as much, or a communication is lapsing with somebody, or my body is putting on more pounds than I want it to put on, and it's trying to tell me something. So I'm looking before the big break comes. Now, that said, sometimes there are big breaks that I feel and this is another question. Why do we manifest bad things if we're manifesting? Because it doesn't mean controlling the heck out of everything in your life. That's not manifesting. A few years ago, well, I was 43. I got breast cancer, and it was advanced. And my first question was, oh, hold on, universe. I'm doing everything right. I've been vegetarian for 19 years. I have devoted my life to teaching and guiding and giving to others. I do CrossFit. I've been exercising 3 times. Why? Why would you do this? And I realized in hindsight, it was a lot that went on, shifting and changing in me that year, but I had been asking the universe for a while that I felt that fear was the biggest thing that was getting in my way of everything. I said, if there's always something I want and I'm not getting it, the one emotion I boil it down to is there is a fear here. There is a fear of being seen. There is a fear of being rejected. There's a fear of failing. There's a fear of being wrong. There's a fear that somebody I care about will leave me. There's a fear of, if I express myself, I will be punished or hurt for it. I'm like, look, every damn thing. And I can't grow as a brand, as a business, as a visionary until I can really get a handle on this fear. I was broadcasting that. I even made it my theme for the year, going beyond fear. I made a Flowdream called Beyond Fear. And I get cancer dropped in my lap. And it was almost like the universe said, well, we know how you are. Yeah, you're a go big or go home kind of girl, aren't you? I'm like, yeah. So they're like, we'll give you the biggest fear ever. Fear of death and losing your children. How about that one? And I went, oh.
a little too big. Take it back. Return to
Oh,
sender.
take it back. Take it back. I changed
I
my
didn't
mind.
mean it. I didn't mean it. This was not in my flow dream.
But so I'm not saying that I specifically asked for that, but I did ask for something that would move me quickly, efficiently, and allow me to go as big as I could. And I received that. By the way, I've been cancer free now for 9 years. Um, the big thing for me, the big takeaway was I spent years unraveling that. Why? What does this mean? Why would my partner do that to me? Meaning the universe. Don't they love me? Is that how they show it? I can't trust them. They're random. This is all bullshit. I had to go through all of that. And at the end of the day, today when I work with my clients, I'm like, I know I've been there. I went through all that too. Let's rebuild. This is how it looks now.
Mm-hmm.
And what I wanted truly was on the other side of that. Now I work with a whole other population of people and their experiences that I would not have been able to have held, 10 years ago. I thought I could. I thought I was holding everything. Mm-mm. Today, I see things and sense things and know things. If I had not been through that, I wouldn't. So I'm careful what I ask for going forward. I've made sure the universe knows I don't need more big go home moments like that. I'm not going home yet.
That's why you're like
Home.
so focused on seeing it before it gets big. Cause you're like, I know where it goes when you don't, you're
Yeah.
like, okay, let's just pick up on the tiny things now. Cause I don't want that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
for me, beyond fear now looks like if I'm afraid to do something, I'll give myself little experiments like this. I give myself the same homework I give clients. Oh, you're afraid of doing that? Let's go do it.
Mhm.
As soon as you feel fear, you made a commitment. Go get it done. Go do it. And they go, no. I do that same thing to myself. If you're afraid, that is the biggest holdback you have. Are
Mhm.
you going to give that to yourself? Do you love yourself enough to hold yourself back like that? Like what? You should is that the level that you have?
Mm.
You're just in protection. What are you protecting yourself from? You think you're going to be broken, destroyed, torn apart? Um, this is answering your question about surrender. Kind of directly. You surrender to it. And one of my favorite things I tell myself all the time is just get over myself. Like, oh God, Summer, just get over yourself. And I don't mean it like because you think you're all the bigness. I mean it like you're putting your small fears, you're putting all of that stuff in the way of what you should be doing and where you say you want to go because you think it'll be embarrassing. You think, just telling your friends and family you're a medium, a channel, you do this. It can be embarrassing. A lot of people feel that. But then I go, just get over yourself. What's it to you? Let them have whatever feelings they want to have. That's their gift. Don't control how they feel about you. Don't try to control their perception of you. Just
What they think
let
of
them
you is
have it.
it's none of your business what they think of
Yeah,
you, as Wayne taught
yeah,
us.
yeah. Exactly. Yeah, that was a good one. And before we started recording, you asked me about Wayne. One of the funniest things about him that struck me that I've been thinking a lot about lately is a story I remember very vividly at it. I Can Do It. And he was on a stage and he was wearing his typical board shorts, t-shirt, a crappy old t-shirt too, not even a nice one. And his bare feet. And because he was like a body surfer, his feet were always like all kind of calloused up and, like old man feet. And I'm like, God, Wayne, you should really put some shoes on. Like I'm sitting here trying to produce some things, just drive me crazy with how can you let people see you like this? And I can almost hear him saying to my voice, what's it to you? Why do you care? Really? Why would you care? What do you think I have to do to be perceived a certain way? Why do you think I should care what you think about that? And it's a very bald kind of response, but it's so true. And he was also saying, the people who hear me, they hear me and they know that this is who I am. And I'm a body surfer and I spend most of my time in the water in Hawaii. And I don't need to wear a suit. I don't need to dress to impress. And the people who hear me, they don't need that from me. And it's informed me. It's like, okay, I can care a lot less about me too.
Mhm.
I can get out of my own way. And that also means just expressing myself more of who I am in front of people too, by the way, being more truly authentic.
Mhm.
Someday I should probably tape an interview in my pajamas just to get over the fear of being seen without makeup and bad hair. I mean,
Mhm.
honestly.
I
See,
love,
now you're getting me into the very badass manifester mindset.
yeah.
But it's because I'm older now and I've been through a lot of stuff. And so for me, that's the more challenging level.
Yeah.
Um, but certainly not everyone is ready for that. They're just like, no, I just want to tiptoe in. Like
Mhm.
my life has not been like yours, Summer. Just can you give me the gentle way in? I'm like, yes, it's called Let's Flow Together. Let
Yeah.
me introduce you to a gorgeous, bubbling road of translucent light where you can lay back and feel loved and adored and have
Yes,
everything you
please.
need.
I'll
Okay,
take
let's
2.
do that. Yeah, and it works for them because they have not had that. And I'm like, then that's the
Mm.
first thing you need. Let's go
Mhm.
there because
Mhm.
that'll be the hardest thing for you to accept,
Mhm.
that love and that ease, because you're still hung up on it's got to be hard. I don't deserve it. So I'm like, oh, then you have to have a bunch of victories. Let's do it.
Yeah. I love that so much. And it's so true. The deeper you get sort of into the work and you get a little bit more badass and a little bit more gritty and you realize like all these things are true. Like what people think of you isn't any of your business, but it takes a long time. And it's this funny thing that I noticed where I did a couple years of inner child work and it was like my healing era only a couple years ago where I was like, what mom wound? What abandonment wound? What do you mean? I just can't make money. I don't understand what the connection is. And went deeper into healing work only to come back and realize that like none of that shit is who I truly am. And I am a powerful creator. And, it's like the more you get into the depths is you like I've realized anyway, I don't need to stay in the healing work all the time. The healing work is really good when there's something there, something undealt with. But the more you move on, you go, oh, the universe is just reacting to me, or I do have the power. Like it's hard to put into words, but it's that like I can't act like a millionaire when I'm a millionaire. And then you do all these like maybe even decades of work, you come back, you're like, I can totally act like a millionaire when I'm not a millionaire. Like, let's do this. It's like you kind of have to tiptoe, like you said, and take that time to come back and realize that these things are true and your past deserves honoring and is a part of your story. It's part of your memoir, but it's not who you are. And even if you've never been good at something, it doesn't mean you can't be good at it or you can't henceforth or hire someone to help you or, like there must be a way. There's always a way. And so I just love that you're saying that. And sometimes we go like balls to the wall, like F it. Like sometimes I'm just facing my lack or scarcity. I'm like, not today, Satan. Nope. I know better. I know this isn't actually real. This is not the reality of, the nature of reality. And other times I'm like, but it feels so real. And we got to, work with both.
It is both. It's both at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think maybe it's an illusion. I mean, ultimately in my world, consciousness is everything.
Hmm.
I'm one of those pan conscious people. I believe if something is made of information, there is a vibrancy and a consciousness in that information, whether it exhibits an outward consciousness like a bird or a person, or it's a rock or a piece of plastic. It's still information.
Hmm.
And knowing that it can be anything, just to go really big level with you, because I feel like we're sliding into that. All the things that we are right now will be different in 1,000 years.
Hmm.
The information of my being will be recycled into maybe some future iPhone, for all I know. I'll go back to the ground and come back as something else. Everything here is going to be just churned and recycled and recycled. So I don't know where I'm going with this, except that to have that expansion of your mind that you kind of are everything and will be everything and have been everything is a good reminder again of taking off um the blinders of our potential. So when you were saying I can be a millionaire in my heart, in my feelings, absolutely, why not? No one's going to say you can't. You're the only one who says you can't. And we'll
Hmm.
point our fingers all day long at all the people and things in the world that aren't giving us what we need and aren't seeing our value and aren't paying us and aren't joining our programs and aren't this and that. But ultimately, all those things are, again, like you said, the reflection in the mirror.
Hmm.
So it comes to us. And I see that as a kind of a game. The level of success I achieve in my life is like the world saying back to me, look what you've powered through. And I go, damn, that's awesome. Give me more. Because I like a little challenge.
Hmm.
Eventually I won't want a challenge. I'll be in a different era of my life. Part of my work is to think of our lives in terms of ebb and flow, right? When the ocean, I live up by the Pacific, right? When the waves come on the shore, it's very active and charged and exciting and stuff is going on. But the waves always pull back and it's quiet and there's nothing there. And those are the moments when we are digesting. Those are the moments when we're looking at the shoreline and picking up shells. We're supposed to be reflecting and healing. To go back to what you said, healing what we just experienced. And sure as rain, that wave's going to come back on the shore and it'll be energized and active again. So I'm recognizing I'm in a creation moment, a bubbly, full of stuff moments, or era, or month, or decade, or I'm in a reflective and digestive and healing. But I will continue to cycle through both. So me as a manifester, like I said, I play the long game. 10 years from now, I probably will want to slow down. I probably will want to be more in my legacy mode. I'll be wanting to have taken all of my teachings and perfectly known that I've given them just the best that I possibly could. So I can step back and reflect and digest for a while. That's sort of the big picture for me. And again, talking about surrender, you surrender to whatever period you're in. And if you could just learn that one trick of surrendering to whatever period you're in, it means all your future hardships are going to diminish exponentially because you're not going to be resisting them and fighting them the whole way through.
And in the way that you said right now, manifestations that won't materialize for 3 or 4 years, 5, 10 years are happening. Same in the quote unquote bad way. When we continue to be pinched off, when we continue to reiterate the same story of I'm broke, I can't, I'm disadvantaged in some way, you're also creating not just your tomorrow, but your 1 year from now, your 10 years from now. And we can change that in any moment. It's the ever evolving now moment. And that's why being in something like flow state, you are instantly creating a different tomorrow and a different year from now, because now is all we have. It has nothing to do with what you've been able to do in the past. It's who you are being right now. So you haven't been good at something in the past. It has nothing, like you said, everyone's always responding to the past. It's done. It's over. It's boring. It's old news. Who you are being right now is what is creating that tomorrow and that 5 years from now. So let's hop on the better feeling train so that we can create, roll out the rest of our lives feeling better and not reiterating the bullshit from the past. That's not actually bullshit. It deserves, as we say, honor.
It's part
and
of
all
us.
that.
Yeah, it's
but it's
us.
not,
I love it.
if it's what you don't want, then there's no need to bring it into this now moment. You don't have to. Like, it's almost like cosmically your spirit team are being like, you don't have to, It's like, what? I don't have to, but it's my story. It's my identity. But that can shift.
You just have to say, I already used that. It served its goal. It's a part of me, but it's no longer useful.
Yeah. And often it's not even ours. Like our parents' belief about money, or our societal conditioning around our bodies, or what one person said to us once, or that bully when you were 7, myself. It's like those things, like one little thing happens at a drinking fountain at 7 years old. And we, of course, because we didn't have the tools, that's why we do need to do a bit of that healing work, but we don't need to bring it into your 30, 40, 50, 60-year-old self now. It's old, it's done, it, like you said, it served its purpose, and we're wiser and more refined because of it, and we get to move on.
I find so many outdated thought patterns in myself and others. I haven't mentioned, I have a book. It's called Stuff Nobody Taught You. I have a whole chapter about these outdated and borrowed thought patterns. And when I'm working with somebody, I'll be like, okay, so you had that experience when you were 7. You came up with a set of conclusions. And when did you last update that? Well, I never have, because it's just who I am. That's who I am. Like, a 7-year-old came up with that conclusion. Do you really want to keep living on what a 7-year-old figured out? And we go, oh my God, no. Or my mom said, this is, one of my, weak points. My mom said, I will have to marry somebody because I'll never make it on my own. Great. That was your mom. Doesn't belong to you.
Yeah.
You don't have to hold that. You don't have to take that anymore. And this line of thinking plays directly into our manifesting, because that then becomes the pattern that we keep reiterating and co-creating and trying to break free from, and trying to be like, but that's been true. I'm like, yes, it has been true, because you've lived through the trueness of it for 10, 20, 30, 42 years, whatever. When can you make it stop being true? When can you give that back to mom and say, oh, that was true for you. And that was very interesting, because I lived your truth for a while. And these are the results I got, but they're not the results that I'm looking for. Here are mine. Being very flexible with my beliefs for me is absolutely crucial. And in fact, back at Hay House, I had a sign that I taped to my wall to remind myself. It said, if I am still sharing the same beliefs 10 years from now that I'm sharing today, then I'm totally not doing this right. It was something along those lines. Because what it said to me is, I may think I'm right in everything I'm saying and teaching right now, but if I don't grow and change and deepen or elaborate or even scrap some of those teachings, then I'm a fossil. Then
Mm.
I'm actually, it means I'm only right in the moment. But I hope I have different views. Like, I hope somebody 10 years from now is talking to me in a podcast and I'm saying completely different stuff than I'm saying right now.
Yeah.
Maybe not completely, but I
More
would say, oh
evolved.
my God, I was open and I let myself be led into new thoughts. Oh,
Mhm.
so that's growth
Mhm.
for me on all levels.
I love that so much because, yeah, when you were 6, if someone's like, "What's your favorite food?" You'd be like, "Oh my god, pizza or mac and cheese." When you were 16, when you were 20, when you were 25, when you were 30, when you're 30, now your favorite food, like, might be something so spicy, some Thai dish that your 6-year-old self would be like, "Gross, I don't like onions, I don't like spicy." So it's the same with our beliefs. It's like we learn something from our parents, rightfully so. We're little tiny sponges. We learn it from our parents, our teachers, our caregivers, society, but it is outdated. And society, oh my goodness. It's like if you want exponential, miraculous results, you cannot think like 99% of the population because society is so limited generally. That's why it's really important too to read books like yours and be in circles of like-minded people and listen to podcasts like this or your podcast, read books, whatever it is, to be in with like-minded people, to have mentorship, to have community with expansive thinkers, because we are so conditioned by, sometimes it's our culture, sometimes it's all these other examples I'm saying, and those beliefs are not even yours. They feel
Yeah.
true. I love that you said you've been living in the trueness of them for 10, 20, 30 years. That was just when I heard that, I'm like, mwah, that's so exactly it. You've been living in that block of vibration. So, of course, it's true because the universe is doing its job and it's responding to you. But it doesn't have to be your tomorrow or your 5 years from now, which is the powerful place to be and to realize that. And that is the place where I go, I may be freaking out about this one bill or this anticipated stress, but I'm still going to dance like I am a millionaire or like I love my body or like, life is miraculous because it is. That's the other end of the stick. That is also true. It is also true. Life is miraculous and life is filled with contrast. And both of those are true. And that's okay. But which end of the stick do we want to focus on and lean into for our future, especially. Oh,
Something I know. I feel like we're going for.
so
Let me
good.
say one more thing. I know we're going
Yeah.
on for long talk here, but I love how it's going deeper and deeper. Um, One thing I ask myself a lot anymore is, who do I want to be in this experience?
Mm.
How do I want to be in this experience? And that's another thing that, say, cancer taught me. Because it's not, when you manifest, it's not about taking some experiences in and dismissing other ones that you don't want. It's not
Mhm.
that as much. That's you think when you go in that that's what it is. I'm going to control all this and get rid of the stuff I don't want and get the stuff I do want. Maybe. But
Hopefully.
who do you want to be in this experience? For me, this has become a mantra. Who do I want to be in this? And it reminds me that any day, like all the things that happen, I can be resistant, I can be angry, I can be hurt, or I call it bracing or embracing. Bracing is tightening up, tensing up, getting ready to fight, be defending myself, defending my hurt.
Mm.
Embracing is, I don't understand this, but I'm going to hold you and this. whether it's a
Mm,
good thing or a bad thing. Just holding that feeling, no matter, whatever the waves, whether they're choppy or it's a flat sea, it makes all the difference. And it helps me stay very consistent in what I'm creating and what I'm feeling and where I'm going, because not as much can rock me and push me off balance anymore.
mm,
So that's another idea that kind of goes on with, you have permission and are highly encouraged to change your beliefs constantly instead
mhm,
of feeling bad about yourself for doing so or trying to find the quote ultimate truth. The
mm.
day I find the ultimate truth, I better be a billion-year-old seraphim or something. I don't know. Because that's the last day that I grow.
Yeah, that's just so powerful. It is. It's so magical and it's just truth. I don't even have anything to add to that. It's just
There we
truth.
go.
It's who do I want to be in this experience? And sometimes I'm like, I'm an empath, I'm an HSP, I'm an introvert, I'm all the things. So I'm the one in the corner going like, oh fuck, I hope nobody asks me what I do for a living. But sometimes I think I'm not the extrovert. I can be extroverted if I'm like hosting something and I need to be the host. But in a gathering, I don't have to be front and center on the table, dancing and singing my song. But I can be an open vessel of light. I can be an ear to ask people, what do you do? And then listen and be engaging. I can, just be a presence. I don't have to shrink into like, oh my God, I'm such an awkward weirdo. But I also don't have to be anything that I am not. I don't, so it's like in everything, say it's business, you don't have to be the same as somebody else on stage with 1,000 people if that's not what you are here to do. But can you share your light? Can you be a vessel? Can you be honest and authentic and impact 1, 2, 500, however many people? It's like we can always ask ourselves that, who do I want to be here? And life is not calling you to be anything you're not. It's asking you to be more you. It's asking you to release what you're not rather than trying to be something else. I'm sure you've probably read, maybe you worked on it, Dying to Be Me, Anita Morjani. And that book, it's like her near death experience taught her we are literally meant to be us. That's what God said to her. That's what made her come back and heal her body that had 90% tumors everywhere. It's like she realized we are meant to be us. You are meant to dying to be me. She had cancer as well. And it's like realizing those things that you just have to be you. And when you ask yourself, who do I want to be today? It's like that fully expressed version of you or that open-hearted you don't have to be like somebody else on Instagram or some other thing outside yourself. But it is about just who do I want to be right now? What can I show? How can I share? How can I be authentic and be real in this moment? And it's just so powerful.
And that you is good enough. It's
Yeah.
already good enough. Came in good enough. It will leave good enough. Everything you're doing here is just playing, enjoying, trying, tasting. We think it's about becoming better, but we came in already great. And
Hmm.
it's a human illusion. We forget that. And so
Hmm.
we strive to become better. Really, we're just striving toward encountering experiences that feel interesting or
Mm.
beautiful or enlightening or sometimes even painful. So that's
Yeah.
another twist on it, I think.
Yeah, that is so powerful. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for all of this. I knew that this conversation was going to be so big because obviously what you do, like you're taking something huge like manifestation and growth and bringing it into this beautiful technique, which I'm so grateful you've shared that with the world. And I would love, for everybody hearing this going, yes, how can we connect with you? How can we get your books? Where do you like to hang out? Do you do social media? Where can we come find you?
Ooh, thank you. Yes, I have 3 books. The first one's called Flowdreaming. It's a very short and easy read, but I do put some science in there because I did a lot of exploration in the beginning, interviewed a lot of physicists. What is there an underpinning to this that is based in quantum data, not just my woo-woo life? The answer was yes. So if you want to learn flow dreaming, that book is great. I also have a YouTube tutorial on it that's free. If you go to my website, flowdreaming.com, I have 2 free flow dreams that you can just download and begin playing with. And then eventually I give you another tutorial as well, because I'm trying to get people to actually have the experience. Like today we didn't do flow dreaming, but it's very easy. Go in and I have it all recorded. I will take you into flow. You will experience it. It is not difficult. It'll be like waking up and you'll say, oh my gosh, all these years I didn't know I could do this. And here it is. It's like, it's like singing. If everybody could sing. So those are all great resources. The book that I mentioned, Stuff Nobody Taught You, that is goes much more into how to get out of your own way, how to let go of the burdens and the old stuff you're dragging behind you that's preventing you from surging into where you're really wanting to go next. So, I taught a program for 10 years called Me School. And I told everybody flow dreaming, like that was the first 2 units. And then I said, now we have to switch gears because you know how to do it now. And you can, in theory, make whatever you want. But the problem is you won't make whatever you want. You'll make it up to the level of your current ability and thoughts about yourself, which just knowing from experience is way too low and limited. So we're going to spend the rest of the time figuring out where you want to go and why you're not there and what pieces we can chip away and just dismiss. And like I said, let's get those beliefs moving and humming and alive again. So it's called Stuff Nobody Taught You. And I really also recommend the audiobook because I get to narrate it. And it is kind of full of saucy language. So if you don't like saucy language, maybe avoid that one. But my goal is to get people moving. So those are all good. I have an app also on the phone. I think I mentioned that. And I have a mastermind where I bring people into this mindset every month. And for me, like I said, I keep saying it, I play the long game. Reshaping our thinking and who we are needs to be done continuously. If you join a gym, you're not going to get anywhere in a week, but in 2 years, you will. You're going to be amazing. So the mastermind, and finally, if people want to start working, to start manifesting and shaping and creating themselves, I have about 300 plus recorded flow dreams, and they do not sound like meditations. They're energy activations. They have emotion. They take you into flow, and you can work on absolutely anything you want. I mean, any feeling that you want to create and craft in you, anything that needs to be healed in you, friendships, family, letting go of limiting ideas, lack thinking. You can also focus on material things too, money. I don't have any problem saying focus on money. What does it feel like to you? Because what'll come up is money makes me feel safe or money makes me feel free. I'm like, great. Those are your emotional endpoints. Now let's start reshaping that part of your life so you can get the real work done. You haven't been able to do that because you've been worrying about money. Solve that one. So anything you want, you can start working on. And it's like being a kid in a candy store after a while. It's like, oh, I want to do this one. Now I'm going to work on that one. Like, go for it. Go for it. Let your heart lead you. So the app that I have is called Flowdreaming for Meditation and Manifesting. It contains quite a few of these. You can buy single ones, or you can buy them. I call them playlists, where I've grouped together ones that I have an intention for, that I know go well together. I have a collection of 38 courses that I've recorded over the years that I've taught my private students and my Me School students. There are a bunch of audio lessons from me teaching, and then there are flow dreams that go along with them. I think about 45. So it's a flat monthly fee to be part of that, and you can just eat your way through the entire collection. Everything from advanced manifesting to programming my future self, the energy of success, connect my gifts with money. Just trying to remember all of them. Heal my relationship, speak with my body, all of them, and corresponding flow dreams and worksheets that go with them as well. And then we get together once a month and we do something live together that's super fun. It's some sort of ritual, like I'm going to be doing one around the solstice, right? Like I mentioned. And then I work with people one-on-one too. So sometimes people are like, I just want to have a session with you. Can I? I'm like, yeah, come do an introductory session or a deep dive with me.
And I'll put all the links below so that you can connect with Summer. Thank you so much for sharing your medicine today, being so authentic and expansive and real. I just so enjoyed this. It's been so fun.
Thank you so much, Talia. I could have talked for hours more, but thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode on the Awakening Her podcast. I hope you enjoyed this conversation between me and my guest. And if you did, we would love to hear from you. Come find us on Instagram. All the links are below in the show notes. Take a screenshot that you're listening to this episode, sharing your takeaways or your enthusiasm for the show. Tag us both over on Instagram. And if you do that, I will send you a free gift. I really do hope you enjoyed this conversation, and I will see you in the next episode.